Welcome today to Friday Fundamentals for what's new in SoftPlan 2020 for June 21st, 2019. My name is Brent Hindman. I will be taking you through basically some of the more major points that we've had people asking more questions about. We do have a couple other recorded sessions that go through some of the smaller points and touch on a lot of the major points, but just to give you a little bit of insight, annotated views, it's a huge piece of what version 2020 has to offer. We're going to take a look at importing Google Earth data into your site plans to give you some topographical information that you may not have readily available, or you'd have to input in manually. So what we're going to do is take a look at those pieces. And we're going to add in a couple other things if we have time. I want to take a quick look at the board and batten using vertical profiles in your wall definitions and seeing how those work. We're going to take a quick look at, actually we're going to spend a bit more time on drawing templates. They're a bit of a point of confusion for people. They are hugely important to our last release. They really give you a lot of flexibility that people have been looking for over the years. So those are the main points I'd like to take a look at today with you. If time permits, we will take a look at a couple other items as they come along. All right, so to get started today, I just have us in a sample drawing, one right out of the box, right out of SoftPlan. And I'm just going to erase this note here. And as you can see, we have our main floor plan up. So like I was saying, annotated views are a big piece of what version 2020 has to offer. What an annotated view is a live elevation. It's the best way to name it. It is a live elevation. In the past, at some point in your design process, you would basically decide that it's time to create an elevation or a cross section. Much like when you're drawing by hand, you had to figure out when the plans were far enough along that you weren't going to have to make a lot of changes to those drawings down the road. We did have tools in place that are still there. So if you prefer to have a final drawing that is a separate line-based drawing of your elevations, your cross sections, so on, you still have that ability, obviously. But with the annotated views, you can keep your elevations and your cross sections live in the background. And as you add notes and dimensions to those, you will have the ability to have them update automatically for you. So you don't need to constantly be going back and making small modifications to your elevations. There's always that worry that you're going to forget something and miss it on the final working drawings. So basically, it's a simple case of you stack your drawings up as you normally would. I'm just going to, oops, you want to open that one. Close that. I just want to get that out of my stack. That was just a test I was running. Sure, I always answer yes when they're asking those questions. And when you're in here, when you look at your elevation views over here, don't get those confused with your drawings. Drawings are saved elevations. Your views are still in a 3D world. They will update as you make changes, whether that's changing the roof pitch, changing the roof style, changing the wall definitions, that sort of stuff. So if I click on, double left click on front, you'll see that when I was last in here, I had put mine into a visible line mode. So typically it will start up in a shaded view, much like this. All right. And the big piece for you to notice is that if we look up in the top right corner, when you go into a view, you'll have an annotated and a model. Model is what you're used to as far as generating views in previous versions. And then what you would do is you would do a file save that out as a drawing, right? If you were to save that out as a drawing, it becomes a static drawing at that point. In order for us to make changes to that elevation, we would go back to the drawing, make the modification, resave it, and then we could save it over top of an elevation and merge the two together, at which point, it's a very useful tool, but you would have to do some cleanup on your lines and so on to finish that off. But what we do now is we have a model view and an annotated view. They are not exactly the same thing. And a model view does not have dimensions, doesn't have the ability to add notes. What it does have is the ability to edit the items on the drawing as you would in 3D or on the drawing. All right, so I can change my wall types, I can change my wall heights, I can change my roof pitches, that sort of thing, right in the model view. So you're going to flip between the two of them. An annotated view, on the other hand, as we can see, comes up with your marker lines, your dimensions. It has some pitch symbols already added where appropriate. It looks a lot like the model view, but at the same time, I cannot come in here and edit these items. What I'm going to get is paint. And in this case, I have added paint to this drawing just to show you that you can add hatching to your actual model or to your annotated view as you would on a final. Okay, so if this came up blank, then you could add that in. The siding textures that you see here are actually something we're going to touch on in a little bit, but it is using a profile, and then I'm showing the lines on the profile. So in the wall definition, my siding actually has the shape of siding, and then I'm showing the lines on the edge of it. So it's very real. All right, but the big piece here is that when I'm in here, I can go to notes. I can add all my typical notes. So I can go into my elevation notes, and I can put in my double hungs, all that sort of stuff. I can put the notes in, and they will stay on this view if I save it, and I can drag this annotated view into a plan set later on. Okay. As far as the marker lines, that's something that people ask a lot about. Obviously, you can come in here, you can do your typical notes as well. You can drop those in. Okay. Pointers, same thing. You still have your segmented pointers, and you can draw these right through. Okay. Those will save to your annotated view. When I flip back and forth between model and annotated, I come back to annotated, those notes are still there, and I don't need to worry about them disappearing. All right. This may take us a little off topic at the moment, but I'm going to go into drawing options. I'm going to go into my custom. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to edit my project. And if I go into elevation generation, because we're in an elevation, there's also one for cross-section generation. This is where you can determine which lines will show up on your elevations or on your cross-sections. So if I check these options, and if I don't take the typical, because right now I don't have them in there, I can type them in here. I can put them in uppercase, what have you. Okay, and this is where the marker lines come from. So you can turn them on, turn them off. You can blank out the text if you don't want to have the text show up on them. You just want the lines. We've also added the top of roof. That was something that people were asking for sight lines and that sort of thing. Their codes usually required that they put the top of the highest ridge in. So we've added that ability. Okay. And so this will add in lines that we didn't have already, and you can see them updated over here. All right, so that's an annotated view. If we were to look at a plan set, then it is simply a matter of I can drag that in. It's going to come in fairly small right now, but if I were to pick model or annotated, you will see that it has all the information that we had just put in right on that view. The little caveat here, the first question is, how can I make my annotateds look just like my saved out elevation? You can get them very close. But at the same time, our intent with these annotated views is for them to be quick, for them to be live. If what you want is to be able to go in and manipulate lines and play around with that, with different pieces of your elevation, you may need to still save out that elevation, because what you're looking for is almost hand-drawn quality working drawing. At that point, maybe you do need to save your elevation out and then modify it as needed. But if what you want is something more like a live view, And you're not going to sacrifice much, but if you don't need the control over where that ridge line is, because that's part of the model. So if I'm modifying pieces of the actual model, that's not going to be capable. We're not capable of doing that in an annotated view, but you can do that on a saved elevation as much as you need to. Okay. But as you can see, by adding paint to a visible line, I get very close to what we would do on a typical saved out elevation. So you do have those capabilities there. Okay. So that's annotated views. I hope that gives you a quick oversight of what you need to know about those. There's quite a few things that I do want to get through today, so I'm going to keep moving along. The next thing we're going to take a look at is, since we're still in this drawing, I'm going to take you into the 3D really quick, and I'm just going to zoom up on this siding wall over here. And you can see that when we're looking at the siding wall, we are using the profiles in the wall definition to generate that shape to the actual siding. And then we're highlighting that with a line. That's what you saw on your elevations. So we want you to use the profiles when you're doing wall definitions. And we would prefer you use those over a texture on your 3Ds, because textures are limited. You could put a siding texture in there and you might find one from a particular manufacturer that's the right color and so on. As soon as the customer comes along and says, can we change the color, and you don't have that particular one in your list, then you have a problem. So, but if you use the profiles, you generate the lines based off of the actual wall definition, and the profiles are real. You will actually see the shape of the siding. As you can see, it actually flares out and cuts back, flares out and cuts back. So it's more realistic. You can generate the lines on it for your elevations and cross sections and so on. So you get that hatched appearance. But most importantly, you can change the colors. So I'm just going to take you through a few of the things that we do in here, mostly leading towards using a board and batten wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this wall. I'm going to take you into the definition. This is just our standard 2x4 siding garage wall. I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it B&B. And I got my caps lock on, sorry about that. I got everything backwards. All right, here we go. All right, so a 2x4 B&B garage wall. Just so that I can show you what you change to use the vertical profiles in SoftPlan to replicate a board and batten wall. I'm just going to drag my GoToMeeting dialog out of the way. It's right over where I need to work. Okay, so the most important piece here, obviously, is the siding. Everything else is going to be essentially the same. So I'm going to go into siding. We actually have the texture in here. You're way down in the S's right now, so you're going to slide back up. You're going to go to board and batten, and then you're going to slide across to the right. The most important thing here is I've changed the name. That doesn't change everything. Right now, it's still using a 6-inch lap siding for the profile. So you click on the profile, and that will take you into our list of profiles, which sit in the siding folder down here. And these will reside in your profiles folder. So you can create your own. They just need to be orientated in this direction. But what we're going to do is slide down here and find board and batten, which is basically just your board and a batten over the end. Okay. So this would place this texture horizontally by default. So it would be the board at the bottom, and it would be exactly in this orientation stacked up the wall. So what we're going to do is select that one. That's fine. But the important piece here is that we've added the vertical profile option over here on the right. So you want to check that box and pick OK. And then we're going to edit this. Oh, I was already in there, so I could have just done it there. I'm going to change this over now to my new wall. I'm going to align the outsides of the siding with the outside of the siding just as a default. And there you go. So this is enhanced because I have currently set up in my 3D. If I go into my options, in my mode options, a few settings that are good for you to know in here, just good to know information. In my line options, I have display lines turned on. I have used single color for the lines because if I don't, I get the color of the actual texture itself, which doesn't pop quite as much, but it might be what you're looking for. I tend to use the black, use single color for the lines. I like the thickness down as thin as I can go. Don't have display line textures because it'll look very muddy because I have a wood texture in behind. But I wanted to show you the other things that you can do in here to get this. As you can see, I have a kind of a wood grain finish happening in the background there. So I'm going to pick OK on that. And then I'm going to edit the actual texture itself. And what you'll see here is that my preview is the color I want. So the display color I've picked, this way I can pick from anything I want because I'm using a profile within the wall definition to define my shapes to make it look like board and batten. So I can pick from any of these. You can import the colors from different siding manufacturers, but all you need is just the color sample at that point, the swatch. But what I've done in the texture, instead of having a siding texture there, which is where I've seen a lot of people on the user forum have trouble, they're still trying to put a texture that looks like board and batten on top of the board and batten. So now you've got, it's like sticking a picture on top of something that's already got a three-dimensional field to it. You don't need to do that. So what I've done is I've put in, display a texture that's wood, and you can pick whichever one you like. Some of them are a little more grainy because the color differentials are different. And then what you do is in your lighting, you use your relief depth to depict how grainy you want this to look. And you will need to turn that on in your mode options. You'll have to turn on the ability to actually see the relief depth. Okay, but if you do this and you still have a smooth finish, then you just don't have it turned on in your mode options. So this gives you the ability to, one, pick the color you want, show it in a 3D world properly by using the vertical profiles or the horizontal profiles for your siding. And then you can play with the colors as much as you want. When you're in here, you can pick the texture and you can pick the different colors as you need to. Okay, so just a few things that I've seen a lot of people doing incorrectly and stumbling around a little bit. You can get a lot better results if you use the profiles within the program. And if you don't like the definition, you want to see a little more definition, turn on the show lines so that you see the edges of those profiles on your 3Ds or on your elevations and cross sections. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to take you through, I'm going to spend some time on drawing templates just to make sure we get this all covered off because I feel this is one of the biggest pieces of this new release and very important for you to understand. So I'm just going to pick OK on this. We'll go back to the floor plan, just so we're back in the floor plan. So what a project drawing template, as we would call them, does for you is it allows you to set up some of the system/drawing options that you like to have readily available for different drawing types, construction types, and it could even be for different clients that you might work for. So let's take a look at some of the different options that are there. So I'm going to go into File, I'm going to go to System Options, System Options. And you're going to see that with version 2020, there's a dividing line here. We go through the auto basement options right down to plan set labels, and then there's a void, and then there's drawing options. So when we're talking about, like you see up here, use project drawing template, we're talking about everything from this point downward. And that means that I can have multiple setups for different reasons. And I'll go through a couple of the different reasons, some that we already put in the program just as an example to you, some other reasons that you might have as a designer or a builder, so that you can save this stuff all out, okay? There was also always a bit of a limitation on defining walls, defining beams, that sort of stuff, because you'd have a huge list, but some were for one builder, some were for another, some were different building types, that sort of thing. This allows you to have those all saved into different categories so you have access to them when you need them without looking at everything else. So like I said, everything from here down is set up so that you can come in here, and if you click on the little gears, that's your setup button. So just remember to click on that, and that will open up this world for you. So if you look in here, the three that we typically have when we ship the program are the default, which is what you're all used to from every time you start up SoftPlan. It's all the settings that would be your defaults. We have added a detail, 1 inch equals 1 foot, and a site, 1 inch equals 20 feet. So you're saying, okay, well, what does that mean? That means that in each of those two, we have played with generally the font sizes and the arrow sizes, that sort of thing. Things that if you did these drawings yourselves, you'd have to go in and you'd have to modify them every time, and then next time you did it, you'd have to go and do it again. Well, now you know that these are already set up for you. Now, these were just put in as good examples of where you can go with these when you customize them for yourself. Just to touch on some of the other reasons you might do this and use the drawing templates is you're a designer, you work for 4 different builders. Every one of those 4 builders has different likes and dislikes. Some of them like hand font, some of them like Helvetica, some of them like Arial, some of them like their dimensions to be really large, some of them like a mixture of fonts, some of them like arrows, some of them like slashes, some of them like dots on their dimension ends. These are all things that you would have to, every time, you would have to go back in, whether you had a saved config or what have you, it was messy. You had to set up for each one of them separately. Maybe you had a drawing template of your own that you started with every time. This basically does that for you. It has it all built in, and it's dynamic in a way. You can make changes, you can bring them into a drawing, you can save the drawing ones back out to the system for use at a later time. So drawing templates can be used for different construction styles. Let's say you're a builder and you draw a little bit of commercial, mostly residential, and the occasional agricultural. So you've got different wall definitions set up. You've got different construction styles, different roof styles. You use purlins on your agricultural buildings on your roof. You do a standard stick frame roof on your house. So you've got all these special settings. This allows you to come in, and anything that falls below here is going to be something you can modify. So you can come right in. So let's start by creating a new one. I'm going to create new. I'm going to call this I'm going to call it Friday, June 21st. I'm going to copy the settings. So this allows you to grab something that's already there. If there's something close, you can pick it. I'm just going to use the default for today. But if you had one that was similar, you can start with that. So this allows you to get a quick start on it. And you pick OK. Okay. Now, the other options that are down here, obviously delete gets rid of it from the system level. If they're already in a project, they stay there, but it gets rid of it at your system level. You can reset this to the defaults. If it's totally mucked up, you can always come back in and you can reset it back to the standard. You can add it to the system. If you wanted to add it out to the system, this gives you the ability to take it from a project and push it out to a project. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that, and with that selected, then I can come in here and I could change material dimensions, railing, roof options. So I can change my default pitch to say 8 inches, and I can change my heel height to 5 inches, bring it back down, that sort of thing. So I can set up my default roof. If Builder X always draws an 812 pitch roof and has typical roof configurations, I can come in here and set that up accordingly. I can change my stair options, my trim options, my character setup. This is where I can come through here and I can change these all to a different font, that kind of thing. Okay. I can change them all at once if I want to, and change them all to SP Helvetica, that kind of thing. So I can set this up individual to one particular project type or client. Okay, and what else? What else can you do in here that you would typically set up? Obviously, your arrow styles, that sort of stuff, they're all up in here as well. So you can make them bigger for site plans, make them pop as you need to, that kind of thing. All right. So in here, you can make up all the changes you want, and then you pick OK. Now, if I was in here in my system options and I wanted to get that into a particular project. So if I am in my project options, for instance, right now, which is the sample drawing 8 in this case, I'm going to come in here and I won't see it in my list of options that I have to use right now. So what I can do is go back out to my system options. So this is a piece I wanted to get people familiarized with. Is it's almost like you're pushing it to a project. So think of, I'm in the project and I'm going to go to my system options and push the configurations that I want, or the templates that I want, out to that project. It's one way of getting them out there. So I go to my system options and I'm going to pick my Friday, June 21st, and I'm going to push that out to the actual project. Okay, so I'm going to say yes. And the other way I can, when I'm in here now, if I go to my drawing options, I can also go to my drawing options, and from up here I can say use project drawing template, and I can select it from here as well. So I'll see it up in this list now, and I can select it, and then I can also come in here and edit it. So from the system, push it out. From the drawing, I can also pull it in by going to the drawing options and going to the top, at which point I will get something like this, where I'm actually in modifying the actual project level options that are available to me. So I should have default, and now I should also have Friday, June 21st, which is my new one. All right. So I'm not limited. At that point, I can still come in here, and I've obviously messed up my character setup in here. So they're a little bit different now, but you can come in here and you can modify as you need to, and keep it separate to that project. And if you feel that you ever want to get this back out to the system, you can add this one out to the system so that you will get it there again. Now, if you've made changes at the system level and you want to push them over to the project, you can overwrite one that's already there. If you use the same one, you will overwrite the settings that are in the project with the ones that are at the system level. Okay, so it might seem a little bit confusing now, but I encourage you to give it a try. Get used to using this, especially if you're doing work for multiple users or multiple customers, and you have different drawing sizes and that sort of thing. Set them up. Once you get it set up the way you want, you can always save it out and then reuse it again in your next project. Okay, so a little bit of time spent on the drawing templates. I hope that gives you a little bit more clarity, didn't make it worse. But the important thing is system level, set them up. Ideally have them there so that when you're in file and you go to drawing options, you'll have two options here. Just to clarify this again. Use project drawing template. So as long as that is selected, I am always going to be using the project templates. So if for the main floor, I'm using the drawing template, the project drawing template. In the second floor, I also have that checked. They all have the same settings, so I don't have to worry about the drawings being different. Okay, so I'm always going to feed off of that one set of configurations, basically. If I want to separate them out and make them separate in the way that it's a site plan or it's a detail sheet and I need to make it a little different, click this box here. That allows you to go in and make changes to this. And if you make these changes and you want to save it out as a custom, there's a Save as Template button here as well. You can save that out, give it a name, and then you have those settings saved. All right. So sometimes we find the best work we do is while we're working on a drawing. You know, you create a new window and you're like, wow, that's a great window. Too bad it's in this drawing. You want to save it out to the library so you have it to use later. That's kind of what this is about. You can save it out as a template for use at a later time. Okay. Drag my dialog back up here. There we go. All right. Likewise, the one other thing, if you're in here, you go to File, Project Options. Remember, I've shown you System Options and Drawing Options. Project Options takes you directly into this one. It's exactly the same as if we were in the File Drawing Options and we picked on the edit the project level. Okay, so this will take you in here, at which point you'll see the ones you have, and you can set them up accordingly. Okay. All right. Just making sure we're on track here, covering everything we want to cover off. The one thing that we advertised and I wanted to cover off was importing the Google Earth topography. Now, we typically do a pretty cool looking site. I wanted to take you into something that was an actual building site that's, you know, it's a stone's throw from my office here, actually. It's probably got a house built on it by now, but when the Google Earth images were done, there was a nice rectangular site sitting there. It doesn't have a huge slope to it. They do have walkouts at the back, so we should see some gradient there, but most importantly, I want to show you the steps to be a little bit more accurate with how you place this information. So to start with, I'm going to take you into Google Earth. Now, I have done an install of the Google Earth desktop version. I think some of the confusion comes from people using the online version, which doesn't give you quite as much accuracy. It kind of you punch in an address and it'll give you a your data, your positioning data, just smack dab in the middle of that spot. So what I've done is I'm using the desktop version. I could be wrong, but I think that this is a little more robust. So what I've done is we're up here. You have to excuse me. The way the mouse works is backwards to what we're used to in SoftPlan. So every time I go down, I want to go up, and every time I go up, I want to go down. So what I've done is here's a site, and as you can see, I just did it again. It slopes off to the back. You can see it mostly on the houses next to it. But what I've done is I've placed a point here. So I'm going to do another one just so you can see. So I'm going to add a place mark. That's what it's called. I'm going to call it and I can move that. Actually, it's already placed because I move that off. Sorry, I named it before I should have. I should have positioned it first. So I'm gonna place this one right up here where the sidewalk is, and then I'm gonna name this one Friday too because I named the other one Friday already. So this just allows you to come back to it, but most importantly, it gives you the longitudinal and latitude. Sorry, it's the end of the week. Information so that we can input that into SoftPlan and locate a specific point rather than just a point somewhere in the middle, because we get that question quite often. It's like, well, how do I know where that is? The points aren't going to be accurate. Okay, but we know in the site plan we have our north and west bearings, northeast and southwest and west bearings. So that will help with orientating this in the right direction, but we need to know that we're working from a particular point. So this is just how you can place it, and then you pick OK, and you can always come back to these points. So they save over here into your places, and it will take you to those points very readily. Okay, so most importantly, I'm going to use the one that I have here because I have it all written out, and that'll make it easier to input it when we do get into SoftPlan. But this is how you get that point. So you find the person's lot, where they want to build, you figure out a point that you can reference on your site plan. Maybe it's an existing building, maybe it's a corner of the site, that kind of thing. And that will give you that that information that you need, the north and west, typically the north and west bearings for you. Okay, so then we're going to go back into SoftPlan, which I have open down here, and in this case, I'm going to start a new project just because all we're going to do in this is just do this site plan for today. So I'm going to call it site topo. Okay. So this obviously would be in your project. You do a site plan and so on. I got some rough dimensions of this site that I'm going to input when I do this. Just going to close this one out, open us up into a new one. I'm going to move my GoToMeeting out of the way again. And I'll just do a new drawing. Save it out as site so we can keep them straight. And I'm going to take it into site mode. I'm also going to increase my my workspace because I have barely enough room to draw it as it is. So I'm going to come in here, and I am going to use custom drawing options because a typical drawing template would be by 210 by 140 feet. That's great for a typical floor plan, but may not be great for a site plan. So I'm going to come into my workspace here, and I'm going to make this 420 feet. Make sure you type in the feet by 280 feet and pick OK. And I'm going to start by just sketching in a property. So I'm going to go to just a sketch at this point. Obviously, you would put this in accurately. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw this in at about 81 feet by 202 feet. So I'm going to go about 202 feet across, roughly there. I'm going to go down about 81 feet. Not too far there. And there's our site. So we have a site polygon here. So and when it's shaded in, you know that you closed it accurately and so on. And obviously you can play around with your north settings in your project options, that kind of thing. Important piece here, which I have found myself because I forget sometimes, what we want to see is the geolocation point. Okay, so this is going to be the corner here that I'm going to refer to because this is the front of the property and this is the back of the property in this case. So what we're going to do is we need to locate that point that we had in Google Earth. So there I go again. This is basically what we're doing here, and I want to. Whoa, there we go. We're going to pick this point here, so I want to pick that corner and run it back in. Okay, so what we're going to do is back in SoftPlan, I want to locate that front corner. So to do that, if you go into your options and your visible items, find your site, and you're going to see the geolocation point is typically off. Okay, so turn it on, pick it. It's not going to show up just yet until I add it into my stack, at which point it will show up. I'm just going to get rid of the main floor because we don't need it. Now this is a trick. Having that there now, I can move it over and I can use my snaps and I can drop it right on that corner. Okay. So now we've got we have the location and all that stuff. We need to put it into the actual project. So I've got my geolocation point, but I need to set it up still. So I can do that in two different places. I can do it in 3D. I can go into my sun options and pick on the geolocation point there. I can also go into my my project options and set it up as part of the sun options in here as well. Okay, so there's two different places. They both feed the same information. So just to get this input, I'm going to go 43 degrees, 31 minutes, and we are at 15.14 seconds north. And then west, we're going to do 80. We're going to do 29, and we're going to do 27.49. So this is all information I took from that first pinpoint that I put on the Google Earth, and that will put that in for us. Okay, pick OK. And I'm going to go back to my site. Let's take a look at this, see if we can see it. There it is. We're dead on it, so we couldn't really see much of it. There we go. I'm just going to shift us up a bit, shift us back. There we go. So we have a very flat surface right now, but we have information and we have the location placed properly. So now back in site mode, if I right click on the property polygon, and it's important that it's a polygon. So one thing, I see it shaded in site mode. That means that the box is closed, all the corners cleaned up nicely. Secondly, you would not see a surface in 3D if it was not a polygon, meaning it would not have a surface to it. It would just be 4 lines, okay? But in here, I go to import Google Map site data, and that will automatically grab the data from the Google Earth information that we have there and drop it in for us, all right? So as you can see, it's put in this information. It does slope down slightly, and if we go into 3D, we're now going to see that it's curving accordingly. All right, there, that's a better view there. You can see how it's actually pulling in those shot points for us. Not sure how well this will turn out, but in here you could go into your grade, and you could generate grade lines from these. You can set it to say 2 feet, pick OK. And we don't have very many because it's fairly flat at the top, but then it curves off at the bottom. I could also just change that to 1 foot, that kind of thing. And take those out, that's better. Okay. So that gives you an idea of how you bring in the shot points from Google Earth terrain data and bring them into SoftPlan, apply them to your site polygon. The big piece here, what I wanted to stress is in Google Earth, you may need to just load up the desktop version, but the most important piece is allowing you to place your place mark where you have a point on your site plan that you can refer to, and then obviously getting the north all turned around the right way is going to be helpful as well. Okay, one of the other pieces with regards to site plans, kind of get you closer to this point, is the ability to bring in PDF information directly into a site plan, which I wanted to cover as well. So to do that, I'm just going to save this out, go to File, and I'm going to open up, open up a different project, which doesn't have a whole lot of drawings in it, but it does have a PDF for us to access. So I have a clear slate right now, and it's going to check my workspace limits just to see where we're at. Oh, we're huge. Yeah, we're very large, way bigger than we need to be, but okay. We'll pick OK on that. What we're going to do now is under Review, go to Portable Document Format, PDF. Now, if you're a SoftPlan Plus subscriber, you'll have access to this information as well in the same spot. And so you have 2 options for import. We could always, when we started bringing in PDFs, we brought them in as images. So they're basically just that, a picture of the PDF. There's no line data included. What you're looking for is a PDF that actually has the vector information built into it. So a surveyor, you would hope that that's the kind of drawing they would create. It brings in your text, and it most importantly brings in the lines, so you don't have to trace over them roughly and then modify the bearings on them. So import PDF as shapes is what we're looking for here. And we have a PDF here Veritas Court plat.pdf, and it's going to show it up in the preview here. So it's going to bring everything, the stamp, the border, everything. But most importantly, we're going to get this information in here in as lines. So I'm going to accept that that's the one I want, pick OK. It's going to come up with another dialog. Now, if I had zoomed in on this, I would see that it is at a fixed scale of 1 inch equals 20 feet. So you don't have to do the math. If it's a standard scale, just pick it from the fixed list. And so that's a 0.05, I believe, scale, if you had to put it in. And that will bring this up for you. And I'm just going to position it right there. It's fine. It's going to take a second. And we can now zoom that up. Just going to stop that so it doesn't keep trying to add it in for me. So the important piece here is now when I'm looking at this, if I was to edit one of these, it actually should edit. Let's turn off my snaps. It actually edits as a line, and it has the correct bearings and so on attached to it. So if I wanted to actually clean this up, you can use your fillet commands, that sort of stuff, because right now it's being broken by the line type indicators in the middle. But that's easy to fix if you just go to, just do a fillet on each of the corners. So click that one, and this one, this one, this one, and that one. And now you've got those completely closed off. And if I was to edit these lines now, I can see the full length of the line, and it should match up very close to what the actual site plan indicates as well. Same thing out here. I can just do a fillet that will clean these up at the corner where they would normally clean up, and I should be very close to my, if not exactly accurate, with the dimensions that are on the actual drawing. So a very important piece because it brings in the actual data that you want from the PDF. All right. Wow, where's time flown? We're already at 45 minutes. We've taken a look at annotated views, the board and batten, vertical profiles. We've looked at drawing templates, quite a lot of depth. We've brought in PDF as shapes. We've brought in the topographical information from Google Earth. We've covered off the main pieces that I really wanted to make sure you were brought up to speed on today, which will cover off the majority of the items at the beginning of your, if you're to look at what the major features were in SoftPlan. One of the other things I just want to quickly take a look at, if you have access to Lumion, great idea to take a look at the SoftPlan and where you can export to a Lumion file format that allows you to bring up this quality in your 3Ds. Takes us from we do a pretty good job, like those are our drapes and so on, but it allows you to just add that extra little punch, and they have different formats that you can use for the same image. So you can see here we got 3 different exterior images, and now these were done by one of our sales representatives who uses Lumion quite a bit, knows what he's doing, and he took one of our models and he generated it for us in Lumion, and you can just see the exceptional quality that you can get out. And we like to call it the magic button. It basically takes a really good 3D and makes it an exceptional 3D. So it's a great tool. A couple other things that are in there. I have a 3D open. Just open one up. If you have a few more minutes, I'll stay on the line for a couple more minutes. And actually, I'm just going to go up this way. To show you quickly the new 3D framing mode. In drawings, another big piece is our Keynotes feature. So something just to take note of. Still just building my model in the background there. It's only going to be a second. There we go. When I'm editing a note, this is a speed note, so I'm going to, I'm just going to explode that. I might chop into my second floor where I have typical notes here. There we go. If I edit this note, there's a couple of new things we've added in here where you can display your note as entered. So in this case, we've typed it, most of it in as uppercase, but some of it is lowercase. I can change it so that all of it is uppercase. I can change it so that it's all lowercase, or I can leave it as it is. So if you've typed it all in and you look up like me, you're not a great typist, and you're like, oh crap, I meant to put that in uppercase. Rather than retype it, you can just come in here and change that, okay? The other thing that we've added is the set as keynote option. Set as keynote will add this in and as a circle, at which point I can hide outline should not be on there, and then I can put an arrow to that just like I would a note, that kind of thing. But then in your notes category up here, you can do a keynote schedule, at which point you click on that and it'll pull up all your keynotes. Oops, I need to do it twice. But you can move that off to the side wherever you like. And so then it takes a lot of the clutter out of your drawings when your drawings are getting a little bit jammed full of notes, and allows you just to use a circle with a number in it and relate it to a keynote schedule that you may have added off to the side. Okay, we have added a lock option. Just to be aware, if I was in, I'm just going to close out of my project so you can see this. When you're back on your front screen, let's say you tend to share drawings with others. We have had the odd call where someone says, I shared my drawings with my other key, which is at home, and now I'm at home, but I didn't close the project at the office. That just means that we have it locked, so you can't access it because someone else has it open. We've been asked for many years to be able to lock projects. It's another one of those things that, it comes along with its own issues that you actually left it locked and now you can't get into it. So when you're in here, if it is locked, if you right click on it, you will have an option to unlock it from the start page. It's an option that's there if this was actually a project that was locked up. Okay, we basically we place a lock file in that project, and we can circumvent that if needed to get around it. All right. So this is something that comes up once in a while, but it is a great tool in that it keeps others from modifying drawings while you're working on them, as whoever saves last would be the winner at that point, and you don't want to be that person who wasn't the last one in. So the other thing that I'd like to quickly touch on is the dimension rounding. So we have added the ability to dynamically round your dimensions. Something we were asked for years was the ability to round off dimensions. We have done this very reluctantly because, in our opinion, if a dimension is the wrong dimension, it's the wrong dimension because you drew it wrong, and you need to edit it to be the right size. There are points at which a dimension is going to have a funny fraction to it, an odd fraction, and that's usually on an angle. So on an angle, I can see why, you don't want to show 30 seconds of an inch to your foundation guy when he's doing the diagonal dimension across the corners. You want to round it off to the nearest one. So what we've done is we've added in the ability to round to the nearest, and we've given you the options right here. So you can round to the nearest 1/8, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 inch, and so on. In the past, when we rounded, that meant that dimension was static. So if I change this and it rounded off to the nearest 1/8 of an inch, and then I changed the dimension was still wrong. It was definitely wrong because I may have made the wall 2 feet longer. So this is actually dynamic, meaning that if I change this to 26'3" and an 1/8, and I have it rounding to the 1/2 inch, and then I change it to 26'3" and 5/8, it'll round off to the proper 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch or full inch or whatever I choose, but it will be rounded to the new dimension. So that's what the difference is here, is the rounding is dynamic to the changes that you make. When you do this, it is going to show up as a red dimension. If I actually round this off, it's not going to round this one because it already is. at that dimension. But if I round a dimension off, it will show as red because that'll indicate to you that this is not a true dimension. It is one that has been rounded off. All right, that's intentional that we do that. All right, I hope you've picked up some valuable tips today. I thank you very much for joining me. I know it's Friday and it's the first day of summer, so you probably want to get out of the office if you're able. If not, I'm running into your lunch hour, so I apologize for that. So thank you very much for joining me today. I encourage you to take a look at the remaining new features. There's pages and pages of them on our website on the SoftPlan version 2020 upgrade information. And I've touched on some of the major issues where I'm seeing people have some questions with the new update. They're great, they're powerful tools. Just an understanding of how they work is going to take you a long way. So I thank you very much for joining me today, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.